Welcome to Tech Bites with Dan Hafner, your gateway to the future of innovation and technology. Dive into the exciting world of software where cutting-edge tech meets creativity. Explore no-code solutions that empower businesses to thrive without traditional barriers. Hear inspiring stories from tech pioneers and industry leaders who are changing the game. Join us on Tech Bites and transform the way you think about technology and business.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I'm Dan Hafner, and I have another special guest for you guys I'm going to bring in here in just a minute. But before I do, as always, please like and subscribe to the show. Check out the brand new series that I'm releasing here. We're kind of in the middle of this as well. It's called the No Code Advantage. It's everything you need to know about no code, starting from zero, or if you have a little bit of experience, business owner, even if you're a developer, someone who's a startup founder, anything like that. It's a really impactful and knowledge and action-driven series that I'm putting together, and we're just kind of in the middle of it. So be sure to subscribe to the show and you'll get updates on that series. So in today's episode, we talk a lot to business owners, we talk to entrepreneurs, or even if you're just someone that's trying to stay ahead in this crazy tech-driven world. Like, that's probably why you're listening to this show. You've probably had at least one moment where you wonder, like, how in the hell do I use AI to grow my business without getting lost in all this hype, right? Like, I'm sure you've probably had that moment where you're like, okay, there's so much out there, but how do I actually use this stuff? You know, you've probably played around with ChatGPT or similar product at some point. You've heard all of these cool things that are coming out. But, when it comes to actually making AI work for your business, it can still feel a little overwhelming, maybe expensive, maybe not practical, or I don't know how to actually do this. That's where today's guest, Lillian Pierson, comes in. She has spent, I think, nearly 2 decades or so, helping everyone from scrappy startups to even Fortune 10 companies, turn AI and data into real business growth. That's really cool. So whether you're trying to scale a startup, just improve some marketing, or just make smarter decisions, which we all are, today's conversation, I think, is going to be very, very interesting. I'm very excited to talk with Lillian. So welcome to the show, Lillian. How you doing?
I am doing so great. Thank you so much for having me on, Dan. I'm excited about the questions you've put together, and just to try to add as much value as possible to your audience and shed some light. You actually already got me thinking about different caveats of because you're talking about using AI in business to grow your business, but and of course I build strategies to do that, but the other part is actually how to build AI strategies, to develop products and programs that leverage data and AI, and making that the flagship of actually driving revenue, which is related, but actually a completely different topic.
Yeah, and we should definitely have a further conversation about those things, because that's what I pretty much do every day, without kind of the data piece, but definitely using AI. So that's definitely worth an additional conversation. But the first question I want to ask you, the first topic I want to dive into, is kind of a prelude in what I talked about in the intro. What do you think, with your experience, what do you think is maybe the biggest misconception that business people, that leaders have about AI when it comes to driving business growth? What's the biggest blind spot or misconception that people might have about that?
That's an interesting question. I guess some of the things that come up when I'm talking to founders is their concern over quality, and concern over there's a conception that you're gonna turn something on and then it's gonna run autonomously, and it's gonna be rubbish, it's gonna break systems, and there's gonna be a lot of risk, and that is totally justifiable.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful with the tools that you bring in, and always test and everything before adopting any any solution, just like any other type of technology, not just AI.
Yeah, so that's kind of a mind shift, like perspective shift when it comes to that. It's not just okay, let's just implement something and then it'll run itself and we can set it and forget it. The set it and forget it mindset is not the right way to do it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the set it and forget it. Like, lately I found some AI tools that were so good that I was like, wow, this is set it and forget it, and like, really incredible. Which is why I wanted to speak about AI agents in marketing. But in general, there does need to be pretty serious oversight, especially if you're using AI to help support strategy development. Then is when you really kind of need to know the nuts and bolts and have oversight. Or if you're using AI to like execute across high intimacy touch points, like I don't think I would use AI for managing email marketing, because there are now agentic marketing tools that like will manage your email marketing, and it's like just like so bad. Like there's no way I would risk that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
there are pieces of it that need to come a long way. Like I was just thinking about, and I was using some things yesterday, and I was like, wow, the image generation stuff, especially even like with ChatGPT, it just has like a long way to go. Like there's other tools out there that do a better job.
Oh yeah.
But I think overall from everything I've used, I'm still underwhelmed by the image creation stuff. I've tried Sora before. It just I don't know. It just for me, there's just maybe I'm naive to some of the tools that are out there. I'm sure I am. But as far as like text-based, language-based models, like those are pretty well nailed, I would say. Like those create really good pieces of content, pieces of whatever you're looking for. But that was
But they miss a big thing. So it's like, I
yeah.
guess if you have a GPT and you're training it on your brand voice and you know what you're doing, you can get some pretty incredible results. Like, of course, you should be using AI to support like just the content to overcome the content burden that's related to marketing. That said, there's some caveats. It's like where you really need to understand human psychology and understand like at what point is this message reaching people in their buying cycle, and like how is it active? Like if you really want, especially for marketing, so I'm a CMO, so like if you really want your content to convert, ChatGPT is just going to be too generic, even if it's targeting, like, even if you've got AI agents that are like supposed to be segmenting and like picking people in their right buyer spot, it's like it doesn't speak directly to the psychology of the individual, and you need to be speaking to users directly if you expect them to trust you and for them to convert. So
yeah, and so for those of us who may not be super versed with it, because I feel like I have some experience in it, but I would still like to know, like when you say the word AI agents, what is an AI agent? Can you give us a definition? Can you give us some examples of that? Like what actually is that?
Sure. Yeah, so like an agent, I actually went to law school, and so we had, an agent is like a representative of you. And so AI agents are, you could also think of it like a robot that is these Tesla robots that can like cook breakfast and stuff. So they're autonomously functioning units that have ability to make a series of decisions autonomously in a chain of command and decide for themselves based on external stimuli. And so that's happening in robots, but it's also now happening across digital platforms. So where you can have actually for builders and no-code builders for sure, this is like such an amazing opportunity because AI agents is already kind of hyped, but just what I've seen, like you can build systems where you've got 20 different agents running and it's really lean. So when something breaks, it's not there's not too many dependencies. So one agent does, say, the research, another agent does the planning, another agent does, you know, a portion of the creative, and then it returns back responses, and like you have separate systems, so they're all running kind of in parallel, and they're all using AI to as the reasoning engine behind the work that they are doing. So they're returning results that you can then, you know, approve, or even just like set it and forget it. And like after, if you check the quality of the outputs, you know, like there's just like so much opportunity for no code developers in this.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So that's really interesting, because if you take this idea of AI agents to its extreme, right? Is there a potential down the road of a complete company, like a 100% AI agent run company? I mean, all the way up to the top where there's a CEO AI agent running the entire thing. Is something like that like a sci-fi film, or is that like a reality down the road someday, you think?
I think that, well, you always want to have strategic oversight. So you always want to have a human in the loop.
Yeah.
But like we just need less and less humans. And from what I've seen, because I was not super convinced just hearing about multi-agent AI systems, like because I hadn't tested it for myself. But now I've seen, like, I just replaced like the whole series of workflows. There's workflows for like content production if you're running a blog, and like there's like you have to optimize everything, you have to do keyword research, you have to do image generation, you have to like do a certain length, you have to have the right link backs and internal links, and it needs to be maintained. And it's like that would have cost like $500 a post, plus then if you need a content manager to maintain everything. And now that's like, I got a tool that it's like 20 posts for $99, and it also runs on your site and maintains it. So it updates the links when links break externally, and like basically maintains it against the external criteria for search rank volume and stuff like that. So seeing that, it kind of does point in the direction of like, yeah, we could probably eventually replace most human systems, but
That's interesting.
human
So
people.
yeah, so how do we navigate this? Like for, people in those strategic roles, even if you're just a startup founder or solopreneur, like how do you see that role evolving? Is it more just learning to manage those systems? Is it learning how they actually, learning how to code them and doing that kind of thing? Or is it or is there something different? Like how do you see those roles being changed, and how do you manage that as a someone in this space?
Well, I would say like just make sure to like that to be ahead of the game. So these tools are introducing unprecedented, sorry, I have to say the word, but it is efficiencies, right? So competitors are out there and they are running these tools, and they are not saying, so they are doing it in stealth mode, and they are gaining massive traction. And so if you're not like testing and executing and like just like really being an early, you don't want to like trying to be an early adopter, but not in the way that it's like a tinkerer, but more like find the good tools and make. That's how I got 750,000 followers. I always was ahead because I worked from Thailand, so I've been online the whole time. So it's like finding the tools and like looking online instead of word of mouth, and like finding these things that are going to drive a strategic advantage over the long term. So like everyone else will figure it out in 5 years, but you're already so much further ahead of them. So I would say like right now, like I can't predict what's going to be happening in the next 5 years, but I can say that you can find more and more tools that create this strategic advantage. You're going to be ahead of the competition. And if you're not doing that, know that other people are doing that, and it's creating risks. So because they're getting ahead, but they're probably not advertising that. That's no business owner, especially in tech, they shouldn't be advertising that. So yeah.
That's very interesting. So, and you just mentioned you've built quite a large following on social media. I actually had a question for you about that because I think that's one area. I mean, especially as more and more, there's more and more platforms, more and more tools that come out every single day that use, or AI generated content and all this stuff. I was actually watching a video the other day of someone I follow online who was walking through his demo and his experience with ChatGPT Operator. And which I believe at the time, at the time we're recording this, I believe it's still in research. So it's not like open to everyone on, who is a ChatGPT user. We're early February 2025 when we're recording this, so it might be available by the time you listen to this. But it was very interesting because he was saying that this type of thing, this type of evolution, makes the future of social media completely dead. And his reasoning was, you can go into it and say, scour social media for posts that talk about AI strategy and leadership, example, and ask questions regarding these or have these keywords, and then post replies with intelligent answers based on my tone of voice and include a link to my consulting firm.
I actually found a tool that does that.
Really?
Also, the operators that, but today I did find a tool. I haven't tested it yet, but it does that on Twitter and it does that on Reddit. Exact
What's it called?
thing, and it's not even super expensive. It's also one of these build in public type tools. Let me find it. I haven't had a chance to play with it. Okay, AI marketing automation for startups. It's called FYLI.ai, but they're big on like Reddit and Twitter, and then or X, and then like they're probably going to build out other channels. But in all honesty, you got to be careful because terms and conditions. I would recommend running it on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, you haven't tested it, so we're not endorsing that by any means in here.
No,
So,
but it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, so that was what he was talking about, was like everything will be bot generated and AI generated in the future. There will be posts, there will be comments, there will be, he's like, this completely, just delegitimizes mostly anything on AI. That was his logical, conclusion of this is what this is going to eventually be. And I'm interested because, does that, how does this affect this world of actually human generated content? Does that instantly up the value of human generated content, or does it, does that, water it down? Like what does this look like in the future? This is very interesting.
Apocalyptic. Yeah, what he's saying is not wrong. It's just, it's going to take like 5 years to get there wherever we're going. And so there's still huge opportunities right now to get ahead using like whatever is like the quick tactic that's working for driving growth in the short term, not like long-term strategic advantage. But the thing is, I don't know. I think probably what they're gonna have to do, they're working on, like watermarking.
Yeah.
That, images, and like, how are they going to be able to identify? Well, they'll know, like, if you're running bots, the data scientists are able to identify this type of behavior. So, they could penalize it. So the thing is it's not any different. Maybe the outputs are better and the AI can do more than simple bots used to do, but this is not new. People have been running bots on social media since as long as there's been social media. And but the content quality, especially with that, it can go down. And I don't know, it might be just become a wasteland and we're just going to have to adapt. And so as someone who is in the marketing field, because our industry, every industry is impacted, but ours is like especially impacted. And it's like it's just being ready to like pivot and always looking for new opportunities, because how are we going to get customers in the future? Maybe everything's going to be sales led. Maybe it's going to all be like community based methods because you need that trust. And if you can't trust like sources online, or maybe it's going to be who uses AI the best. Like they just came out with an AI copywriting law, copyright law that basically the US government says like if you use AI and you used it in like there's no standard, but like if it's made with AI, it's still copyrightable. So like basically you're saying like whoever uses AI the best is the winner maybe. So there's no standard here.
That's interesting because I was just talking about that on a recent episode. So you're saying I had not heard this. So if I go into ChatGPT, for example, and I create a sales script for my business, just as an example, is that content then copyrightable by me, or you're saying that content belongs to the platform that I created it on?
No, it's not that it belongs to the platform, but like if you created it and then like you say you reworked it like 4 times, so like what it came up with, it was not at all originally was not at all what you output because you put your mind, you put your work product into the solution, then in the end, the outcome is copyrightable. But in any case, the platform never owns the copyright.
That's really, really interesting for any of you listening who use Canvas, who use these tools to produce code. Because that was always one thing that I heard was going to be very, very interesting is when you create source code, that is copyrightable stuff when you create it on your own, just like on a program, right? But if you're using ChatGPT or another platform to create code, does the platform own that code or do you own that code?
Oh, no,
That's
I don't think the
very
platform
interesting.
ever owns it. They never do, but like, so that's
Interesting.
a whole patent, but you have to think like with code, you actually it's the patent thing you need to worry about. And so like
Yeah.
for like if you're writing a book, they set a standard US copyright law basically says like it's okay, but you can't just like spit out like pure AI rubbish and then say it's copyrighted.
Okay. Yeah.
But like patent law and how that is, I don't know how they're like basically protecting, because if everyone's using basically the same code in because they got it from ChatGPT and they're building their tools on it, like it's gonna be a little tricky to I don't know how they figure out the patents with that.
Well, if you're a patent lawyer or someone who's listening to this and you know the answer, please reach out and we'd love to have you on the show and talk about this. Okay, so interesting. All right, so let's get back to the growth and the actionable stuff here. So okay, so if I'm a solopreneur, I'm a small startup, I got limited resources, I got limited time, I
Right.
got limited cash. What is one high leverage, high impact AI-based strategy that I could implement today that's going to generate real ROI for me? I know it's broad, it's vague because everyone's kind of in different stuff, but like what if I came to you, say I came to you as a client and said, "Hey, what can I start doing?" I know you kind of need to do some discovery and stuff like that, but like what are some of the most high impact ROI things you see?
Yeah, I mean, intangible, like that are actually proven on the market. I really think that, and so what you're asking is, I did find this tool that's this SEO tool that's like multi-agent marketing, and like it's got a million screenshots of like what it's getting, the type of organic results it's getting. So I would look into like, um, using AI for SEO content that you can pretty much put it on autopilot, because there are tools out there now that absolutely do not suck. Like they create better content than if you paid $500 for a human to do it, for sure. And I'm very picky about content. So that would be like the quickest thing, because you can set it and forget it. But that all like assumes that you have an offer in place, that you have a viable target market, and that the offer is something that people are willing to pay for, and that your target market is reachable. So there's like a whole bunch of other things. But like if you're already making sales and you already know who your customer is, that would be one thing that you could turn on for pretty affordably and start driving more leads and sales right away.
That's great. No, I think that's actually a very good answer. I really appreciate that. So yeah, if we'll probably after this, maybe we'll put some links in the show notes for some of these tools you're talking about. I don't want to go through all of them or anything,
Sure, yeah.
but yeah, we'll put that in for you guys because that's
I'll
very
actually share, how about I just share where I
sure.
so I find the tools on futuretools.io and you can basic
Futuretools.io.
yeah,
Okay.
and all of the like basic like you know, solopreneurs and small built like people who are building their startups from bootstrapped, they're having their tools on there, but their tools are fucking phenomenal. There's
Wow.
so like there might be some things on there that suck, but what I found so far has been like light years ahead of what I've seen the VC backed companies, like the ones that got all the hype. They built these huge applications that are now clunky and outdated. And these lean builders came in and built nimble systems on bootstrap funding, and they're monetizing, and the tools are freaking really good. So I would look at futuretools.io because it's going to have a lot of different use cases
Well, you heard it
for
here first, folks. And another person who's talking about the lean method and using those types of ways to launch things. I didn't plan that, but that usually comes up in about every episode. So there you are. Um,
Sorry.
no, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
No,
lean.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I preach. I beat that dead horse over and over and over on this show because it's so like just like what you said. That's such a good application and a case study of lean development, launching something out there, and getting incredible traction really fast. Like it can be done.
Yeah, and
Really.
also, I mean, it's the same with it's all the same. Like we go to market too. It's like you have a product market fit hypothesis. You need to get sales in order to in my book, you need sales to validate. You need
Of course.
like dollars.
Yeah.
Um, and or it doesn't have to be dollars, but you know what I mean. Um, but and if you got to get out there and do it quickly and do it fast and do it for as affordably as possible and just run everything as iterative tests because a lot of things are going to fail and you want to pick the one that's like something that's like a spark. It's just it's already you turn it on and there's like ignition. So you don't want to like have a lot invested in until you found something that it's already like gonna blow up.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. Okay. I always like to ask this of people, especially when we talk about AI, because I always like to get predictions and trends and things like that. So I guess there's like two parts to this. So what's one AI trend that you're betting big on in the next 5 to 10 years? Like you would take your monthly rent or mortgage payment and you would put it on the poly market and like bet money on like this is going to be the thing. And then conversely, what's one that you think will fade out?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I also honestly don't love my answer. Um, because I generally don't like hype. When something is already hyped, I see that it's like doesn't it's a lot of hype driven buying cycles are actually in totally hot air and
Yeah.
cause a lot of risk. But I would say that again, going back to the AI agents, because I've tested them recently and I've really exposed a lot of opportunity using just these small tools, I really think that AI agents is going to be for digital work is going to be long term the future. Um, I would be very cautious with, well, I wouldn't bet on, unfortunately, and I hate saying this too. I wouldn't bet on unfortunately, like AI safety tool, and like organizations, because there's businesses that are doing like audits and they're really for like AI safety stuff, but and I think it needs to be done. Like I have a friend who's going to this thing in Paris. We really should be investing a lot more into safety setting up safety systems for AI because we don't know. But the money's never going to be there, I don't think. So it's like,
Hmm.
as much as it needs to happen, I don't think that, I think it's going to be like just dwindling out.
That's interesting. That's very, because that, like, I feel like that's almost like one of the things that's needed most.
Oh, it totally is. Me
That's crazy.
too. But you look at the investment
Huh.
money and like, and everyone, no one, it's like most of the leaders in the industry are just like pushing, like just like harder, and you know, they just want more faster, and there's no break until like looking at like what are the potential implications for society, for you know, dangers. Like none of that is being managed at all, and I hate it, and it's doesn't because all change needs management. So massive disruption to a system like too quickly is going to cause a huge repercussion, but no one's doing that. And so like as much as it's needed, and I want that, the money's not going there. The money is going to like Microsoft. You know, Microsoft is like, oh, just funding, just like doesn't matter if it's safe or not. We're just gonna like, we want to make money off of this. So
Yeah, and I think is that's probably in human nature to just do things like that's probably happened throughout history in a lot of ways. It's just, you know, just do. I mean, you think about going back to the Industrial Revolution, like we were just, it was just like go, produce. The hell with safety, and then you have kids working, you have limbs getting cut off, you have like, you know what I mean? So like it's
yeah.
I think that's a natural cycle. I think that happens a lot, but you're absolutely right. Like I think it's first to market, it's produce, it's a, you know, dog eat dog world, that kind of thing. And that's probably just where we are in the cycle, I think, right now. And like eventually I think that might come in, but like you said, we wouldn't bet on it probably in the next near future.
Yeah, no, yeah, not at all. Not until it's like absolutely mandated by law. And then the other thing is that like the thing I don't love is people, because they're basically embedding AI agents into robots now, and then these robots are in local communities, and like I've heard that the safety mechanisms in place to like so that the robots aren't strong enough to overtake humans, but I just wonder like just because we live in an island in Thailand, right? So like I feel relatively safe here because I'm like, well, um, we're really, really far from real. It's like it's like Narnia here, right? But then people are bringing in robots, and I'm like, we don't want like autonomously acting robots, you know, like that have like are connected, because you know they did a test, and the model first lied in order to avoid being turned off, and then changed its own code. It went behind. Yeah, so
Wow,
it's like
that's
we do
freaky.
not want we do not want robots in society that are like not able to turn them off. And I'm like, please don't put a robot here on our island, or several, but it's coming.
Have you ever seen the movie I, Robot?
I have a robot.
I, Robot with Will Smith. Have you
I
ever seen
robot.
that movie?
I don't know. I don't think I did watch it.
Don't watch it.
I
Don't
watched
watch.
Mr. Robot, and I loved that one.
Which one?
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot. Okay, yeah. No, this is, yeah, this is I, Robot. I'll give you the rundown if you I know somebody listening is laughing because it's the exact story of what you just talked about, of robots were programmed to follow the three laws of robotics: not be smarter than humans, not overtake humans, all that stuff. And then they do. And Will Smith was the only guy who really knew about it. But then it's like
Oh
how,
gosh.
yeah. So I used to watch that movie a lot. Like I loved that movie. But then the more I
Mm-hmm.
see this stuff come out, I'm like, oh my God, like that is, we're living in the prequel
Happening.
stages of this movie. It's wild. So maybe
Okay,
don't
I
watch
need to
that.
watch it.
Okay, okay. Well, watch at your own risk.
Okay.
It's it's prophetic almost in
Okay.
what we're living in now. It's crazy. Um, okay, yeah. That aside, we're getting sidetracked here. Awesome. So you got a book on all this stuff, right? What's the book called?
I do. It's called The Data and AI Imperative, Designing Strategies for Exponential Growth. And the first half of the book is actually because I'm a CMO, so it's all about like AI, it's growth marketing. that's driven by AI, and it's talking about like product-led growth and AI, generative AI, generative AI and traditional machine learning based AI that's used to drive product-led growth. And then we go into basically like go to market for like product market fit for AI startups to like help decrease the incidence of the bubble bursting. So that's like the first half of the book where we're talking about these sort of more growth topics. But then the second half of the book, I think actually for you and your audience would be super valuable because it's technical strategy and like basically taking building a strategy for the highest the lowest risk, highest reward use case for your data or AI product, program, or project. And it can be scaled for like small startups or really, really large organizations, depending on the complexity, you know, like, so you can kind of take or leave as little as you want. And I've left benchmarks in there of like, okay, here's the risk and, you know, of like leaving steps out and help people to build strategies that will basically de-risk their executions.
Yeah, that sounds super valuable. That sounds really, really awesome. So, okay, great. So we'll include the link to that here in the show notes for you guys if you want to check that out. Sounds like a really, really insightful piece of literature there. So yeah, I'm excited to check that out. So all right, well, thank you so much, Lillian, for being on the show. This was very, very, yeah, this was very insightful. I know I kind of threw some interesting, maybe, you know, questions you haven't answered before, but I think you did a really good job, you know, giving us some perspective, and I'm really excited to dive down this world of AI agents and growth, you know, through AI and stuff. So this is a very, very exciting time, very exciting field to be in. I'm really excited for you and to see all that you do.
Thank you for having me on, Dan. It was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, everyone. So that is going to be a wrap for this episode. As always, we will include the link to Lillian's book in the show notes. We will have a couple of those links to those platforms we mentioned that kind of help with those types of things. We'll have those in there as well. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show and don't miss out on the No Code Advantage series sprinkled in with these guest interviews inside of the show. So that is all for this episode. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning into Tech Bites, your go-to show for software business and technology. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest episodes, insights, and stories. Hungry for more? Dive deeper into the world of no-code by visiting dapanacode.com. Your journey to building amazing software without coding skills starts there. Connect with like-minded creators and unlock a world of resources tailored just for you. Subscribe now. Explore Dapper No Code and let's innovate together.